Live, 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 Uziel's live for you to join along. Live, 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 Uziel's live for you to join along. What's up, everybody? We are back for another live stream, Sphera edition. I do apologize for not doing the H&M's live stream last week. I don't know when will be the next one, but it is in the works to do it. But yeah, as I said last week, that's basically Sunday live streams. Sorry, Sunday reactions are not happening because of Sphera, so we make it up with the live stream. So we get 2 a week. Hopefully we'll get another one this week. But here we are. Great to see everybody. Comment below for any shout outs and questions and Q&As anyone have, because that's what we mainly the live streams are for, is to talk about Jewish music with you guys. Oh, excuse me. It would be amazing. So yeah, comment below, even just to say hi, or just for questions and suggestions for reactions and talking about Jewish music. Just comment below and we'll talk about it. So today we are doing another podcast from You Hashem. Mendy Hershkowitz, a good friend of mine. I did even ask him if he would like to come on the podcast. Kind of, yeah, like he's really busy and all that, so there's not really going to be time for him to do it. But at least there's an episode of a podcast that he did with You Hashem that we could react to and talk about. Mendy Hershkowitz is one of the biggest Jewish from band producers and Jewish music producers in the world. So here we are, going to react to it, talk about Jewish music, get his perspective on things he might like or what he does, especially in the modern era of Jewish music. And we'll check it out. You know, we're going to have some fun over here. So let's put that up over here. No, not that one. Here we go. There we go. Yeah. So again, I do say this every time, but I don't have a producer. I wish I did. But if you guys could comment below, just let me know the volume, my volume, the video's volume, and everything. Just let me know. And it'll be a smooth live stream. All right. So again, comment below for any questions, and we'll answer all your comments in between the segments. So yeah, let's get started.
Mendy, I would say welcome, but this is your studio, so thanks for having me.
Welcome. You're welcome.
And for taking time on a Wednesday morning. I want to, for the people who might not know who you are, tell your story a little bit. So can you start from the beginning?
I'll go back as early as I can. I grew up in Kiryas Yoel, Monroe, to two amazing parents. Baruch Hashem, two I think is an accomplishment these days.
Mm-hmm.
So I literally had one of the best upbringings I think a kid can dream of.
Wow.
Even though a lot of people look at Monroe as very, I guess, strict or restrictive. I don't know what the right word exactly is, but I didn't feel like that growing up. I was very, you know, it was normal kid stuff, you know.
Sure.
Went to school, okay, this kid was more that and this kid was less, but I didn't run into any problems.
Monroe is Satmar.
Satmar, yeah.
Okay.
Early on, it was very evident to my parents that I love music. Whether it's, they have pictures of me running around before I could walk, schlepping a boombox or whatever
Sure.
it is. So, and
I could emphasize with that because like I remember seeing videos of me as a kid like making mics out of Legos, singing Alvin Free songs around the house and like pretend making instruments, you know, all that. Yeah, it's funny how we could trace these things back to our childhood.
they have pictures of me running around before I could walk, schlepping a boombox or whatever
Sure.
it is. So, and as I grew, went to weddings, so I had people in my family also very much into music. So, I got closer to music, and every occasion that I was able to stand next to a musician, watch certain music. At that point, in the early stages, it was still normal to have by Hasidic weddings live bands. So that was
Same before it became
before the
keyboard
woman band
players,
took over completely. And then now it's somewhat back to bands, but whatever, like that. It was
We'll
really
discuss that later because yeah, okay.
so that was pretty much my exposure to music. And later on, I started listening to, like, I was exposed to certain albums that I didn't hear before. I remember one of the pivotal moments for me when I put on an album was a Mona production, which I've never really heard before. And I remember where I was standing, my father bought my uncle a present, I think, or something like that, where he bought him this tape. It was still tape. And he puts it in, and I just remember being mesmerized by the sound, the arrangements, the quality of the
Do you remember
music.
what, like a particular song?
It was L'chaim Yidin, the album, which
Okay.
Yosef Moshe Kana produced. Like,
Sure.
it was a Yiddish album. Yemi Daman singing. What it was like real traditional, but it was he did me a favor by going to Mona, and that way I got to listen to it. We weren't listening at that time to too many, even if it was Jewish music. I guess you can say that was the restrictive part.
I was just gonna say, like growing up in that community, what music or lack of music did you have?
There were projects from the community projects that was definitely music. Satmar had certain people produce
It was
stuff.
like tapes, CDs.
Tapes, yeah, it wasn't CDs then. I'm dating myself now, but
Right.
yeah, it wasn't CD. There was no CDs. It was actually records and tapes.
Wow.
And
Now you're dating yourself.
no, the records was already in the
kidding.
past at that point.
Records
but
are
it
back
was,
in now, so it's all good.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I want to build a just listening room, like just enjoy records.
I love that.
It was I don't think I grew up listening even to MBD and Freed,
Right.
which, funny enough, I'm on stage with them. I need to know their music, but it wasn't at that time MBD put out Chevron and Freed put out Levin Yamin. This wasn't Satmar oriented songs, so
Right.
the albums weren't really on the shelves. And they were somewhat out there, they were more of you can call it the modern Hasidic singers. So for a community like Satmar, it was, some people were listening to it. I didn't feel like I'm missing anything, but it wasn't like the music I was exposed to. That's why some people might be interesting why you didn't hear Mona from MBD. Obviously he did a lot of these albums, but at that point I wasn't really hearing these.
Sure. How does it work? Is there like a
Well, also, like you hear from other singers like A.B. Rottenberg and all these other older generation of composers and singers. Like they like grew up with a totally different style of music that they work on themselves. And it's interesting like how they get inspirations to make something new and to make something different in the Jewish realm of Jewish music, which is interesting.
it is like the leadership of the community says like this is okay and this is not, or it's just kind of like an unwritten rule? Like
I think over time that changed a little bit. I think at that point the leadership was still able to say a lot more than they do today. Today it grew. I mean, you're talking, when I was there, probably was 2,000 families.
Okay.
To what is now, what, 8? I don't know.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
Yeah, the growth over there is beyond. But yeah, they had a lot more control there. I remember still when there was only 1 or 2 shuls open Friday night. But they weren't like, there are other communities, which again, we don't need to mention names. So there are communities where that's the only way it's always going to stay. But this community adopted a lot over time. So I that's the way I saw it. But there's also the people within the community like that. They like that, don't let me, don't
give me the rules and I'll follow them.
Yeah, it's not that they want so much the rules. It's like, give me a little bit of that protection because I know what's out there is not everything that I want. Something along those lines. So
instead of me figuring it out, bumping into things myself. That I might not want.
Yeah. So it works hand in hand, and it's a balance, as with most leadership, and but yeah, that's the way it was. Again, as I said, there were plenty of people listening to the music even within Monroe, but my family maybe was a little more to the more hardcore, strict Hasidic. I don't know what you want to call it, but but again, I'm going back to the point. I never felt at any point restricted. Like, it's not like, oh my God, I want to so much listen to something. And I guess
you also weren't necessarily aware of.
I wasn't. I remember being aware of Freed and MBD because we did talk about not listening to it.
Right.
Because they Tzionim, this, that, that.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they consider themselves
Now they for sure don't. But
Right.
at that point, as I said, Chavron and Lavignon, they were
Okay, because there were songs about Israel, right?
yeah, they were really
Yeah, like that time. What's it called? The other shliach of where I live. He was on. There was a story where the Rebbe didn't want to start a certain Farbrengen until Mitzvah Tain came back from Williamsburg because it was a whole thing of them like going like about they were getting attacked by a mob over there, and like the other shliach of my Chabad house was in there, but the whole landscape of just pure like Achdas Yisrael has changed dramatically.
about. I don't know if Chavron was the one for MBD, but there was definitely one where he, Jerusalem.
Right. He also has some
Shalim is
Hebrew
not for
songs.
sale, like some of that, and I think both of them, everyone shifts around and comes to different whatever. But no, Satmar, that's one of their main points. Satmar is not; they're not against Israel, but the Zionism part is very, very much. Satmar was like, that's what he, was very much.
So
against.
it was less about like being not Jewish influenced music. It was actually
the Zionism part, of course.
So interesting.
Yeah. Although they were considered, as I said before, they were considered more modern singers.
Right.
So there was
everything's relative to.
It's funny because we find those singers like the Hasidic standards of like where yeshiva will let you listen to, and now, but then, like I remember like a Bacher telling me how when they had CDs and they had CD players that they would have like a bunch of CDs in a player already, and you just press to switch to CD. So you had like Avram Fried and the Chayach CDs in the same player, and like on Hull or Don't Counselor on Hull would come to the door, they would switch to the Nechayach CD, like just from Avram Fried. You know what I mean? Like the standards of like that basically the standards have been different
at the time.
And certain it's hard to look back and see it that way, but certain families would have a hard time letting Michal Schnitzler be, he was already considered modern for them. It's all relative. It's it's not like this is not community roles. This is the community would say something against Zionism, but they wouldn't say anything against Michal, like whatever.
Right.
Like, that's people make up, as they go, they find their own so yeah, that was it. So being exposed to that music was definitely, I remember that's if I look back at my aha moment first when I heard that music was definitely a big aha moment. And I've said it many times on interviews. It's just, I wish Mona would know what he did to Hasidic music, because I don't think he even grasps what he did. And again, you can find plenty of talented arrangers, and especially nowadays.
No, he's iconic.
He shaped so much of what we call now Jewish, or even, I mean, Hasidic for sure, but even Jewish music. He has shaped so much of it in the influence part.
It's so interesting to hear from different people I speak to who come from completely different directions talk about him. But the last person I spoke to was Danny Flam.
Yeah.
And he was telling me how when he was in the Israeli army, he met Mona, and Mona was, I think he said the first session, they played something. They were playing some jazz kind of thing, like warming up. And Mona's like, no. They played Jewish music. But yeah, I mean, I also as a kid, like in those moments as a kid, I didn't understand fully how great what I was listening to was. But now looking back, like all of those intros and the horn lines, and it was really like it shaped a lot of like subconsciously of who I am and what I do today without even realizing it. It's like
no
wild.
question. His strength in melody, building melody and counter melodies, as well as harmony. That was very fresh for Jewish music in general.
You've worked with him, right?
Yeah, I was fortunate. I am fortunate enough to work with him on quite a few occasions, and there's a mutual admiration. I can't say he admires me. That's wrong.
I'm sure he does.
No, but he appreciates the care that I give for music. I think that's the right way of saying it, because his charts have a lot of information, to say the least.
Okay.
So you really have to find your way through it, and it's the detail really that make up a lot of his music.
What kind of context have you worked with him in a live setting or recording work? Or
only live. I don't think I've worked with him. I mean, I've given him work.
He flies into America and your band plays and he conducts.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I've done studio project with him, but that's when I would give him pretty much the project to record it and take care of it.
Do you ever think back at to that moment when you were a kid listening to that and imagine like could you ever have imagined that you would be like a peer of this guy?
It was definitely, I remember the first time I was with him on stage, it was actually a big Satmar event.
Okay.
it was he came in to do the Kufal of Kislev for the summer event, which is like in the Armory, New York Armory.
What is it? A yard site? What is that? Called?
Kufal of Kislev is when the Satmar Rebbe went out from not Auschwitz, whatever the concentration camp, liberated to
Okay.
I think he went over to Switzerland or one of these liberated areas. So it's celebrated every year. They it's an opportunity. They do usually fundraising for the Moises, whatever, like for the schools. So it's a big event in Satmar. It's every year. Now there's 2 Satmars, so this guy gets this armory. I think by now they do different things, whatever it is. So you're talking about probably 8 to 10 to 12,000 people, something like that. And it was a nice big band with Manas style band, 12 strings, probably 7, 8 horns. That was a moment when I thought, no, I never thought this is actually going to happen. Yeah. I'm usually not the type to. I can't say I'm getting like starstruck, not because I'm a cool guy, more like because I believe. I'm very much a believer that things happen and there's someone controlling. I'm not like, I don't think when I see a person successful, no matter in what area, I don't think. I mean, I do know that it was hard work, and that part I appreciate for everybody. But I don't put people necessarily on a pedestal. Like I don't treat people different. Also, I don't care if you come in to do here, if you're the biggest star in Jewish music, or if you're a newbie that I never heard your name. I really believe I can learn from everybody. I live with that. So for me, it's not in the sense of, oh wow, I'm starstruck by Mona, but it was more a reality check. Oh my God, this is a guy that you looked up to and you appreciate his music. And it was also a responsibility. Now you have to make it sound as good as you remember it. So it was, that pressure plus, the combination of the two.
On that point, actually, something that I've noticed.
Like I know, like for me personally, when I when I interview people on the podcast, it's like every time I get like I text someone or call and I get an answer or a response, I'm just so grateful, and like not just to the people, but like also to the fact that like I can't believe that this is happening at a point in my life where I grew up with these people and got inspired by these people, and they just take their time out of their busy days and everything just to give me a text back and then end up doing something together, whether we don't do. Like there's a bunch of people that I talk to and they don't want to do the podcast or do an interview or something, but they're still grateful and they still say thank you to like the work that I'm doing, and they still like give me some like insight and trivia. It's like it's all these things, and I'm just grateful to them and to the Abishter. It's very hard to articulate, and even talking about it now, it's getting me emotional. At Shlochim Klarman 8804, shout out. Hey, to you too. Keep it up. Thank you. Yeah, keep commenting. If you guys have questions or stuff to talk about Jewish music and subjects and topics, I would love to get into that, because that's the real point of the streams, not just to react to things, but also to talk about Jewish music. That's the main thing.
Recently with a few people that like people who you may be starstruck by, they normally don't appreciate people being like, they want to have normal interactions with people. At the end of the day, they are people. And like when you walk into a room with someone and you kind of like freeze, like they don't know what to do with that. It's like,
it's uncomfortable for them.
Yeah.
No, it's very true. Especially I got to work with a lot of the big stars, and some of them I'm more closer than, meaning more personal, but I'm trying to be their normal person. That's really what I'm trying, because that's, at the end of the day, if I really want to accomplish a lot with them, that's the only way it works. It's them being really open and honest and straight. And if I really feel something is not good, it's me telling them, by the way, I don't think this, and I think that's what they want more than anything else. I'm sure you, as an artist on stage, you also feel the same way.
Yeah, like what's it called? Avi Rottenberg and Shlomo Simcha, they talked about how when Duddy Gross produced their third Aish album, the one thing that they like is that how not brutal, but like how totally honest he was with criticism and with positive feedback, and instead of just like, oh yeah, you're the expert, you know what you're doing, let's just do your idea, even though it might be a terrible idea. Like that's because at the end of the day, when you have a collaborator or you're working with someone, that's what you want. And even though they might be a fan of yours or people that admire your work, you still expect them to like, hey, like we're still doing something together the high standard that I appreciate that we should be doing it.
You know,
Yeah.
yes, there could be people who walk over to you and you're like, wow, you know, but you appreciate the person that you never even met, but is asking you regular questions. Oh, where do
Yeah.
you live? Like, where you're like, it's
Yeah. We're, at the end of the day, we're all people, and like the fact that anyone, you know, the idea of people ask me a lot, like, you know, do you want to be famous or did you become a musician? I honestly can't think of anything worse, because I think about people who really, you know, in the secular world as well. Can you imagine like people driving you crazy all day? Like, no, I just want to live my life. Have my
Like that people say, oh, do you want to become the next song free? Do you want to do no? If I could just sing for as a parnasa once a night, you know what I mean? Like, just it doesn't matter how big a concert or the gig is. Just if I could just sing as a parnasa, that's all I want. Doesn't matter what the effect is of like how big I need to go or something. Like, sure, if I could go as big, if I need to go as big, I'll go as big. If all it takes is just me to do like a gig at a wedding every night, or you know what I mean, like, or just do something small, that's good for me too. As long as I'm singing as a singer and making a parnas out of it every night, that's my goal. That's basically what I want to do.
family, and I love music. And yes, of course, there is a buzz being on stage, or you know, like, or just, you know, people even showing interest in what you do. But people just want to be normal.
I look at you also like a person that's balanced. I think that has a lot to do with it.
Try and be.
No, so, you know what I mean? There's some people that are in this industry, and nothing bad, meaning I have nothing bad to say about people, and it's just really knowing personalities and knowing people. A person that can say my family comes first, but really live it, not just say it.
Right.
That's a balanced person, because this industry has so much to offer more than that. And you can find fame, power, you can, you know, money maybe, but the point is that a lot of people feel that this is a stage for them to really just jump on something and be seen, and there's a drive for that. You know, there are people that are driven by that. But to be able to just say, you know what, and I'll be the first one to say it, you know, I love the feedback that you get from people. It's something, it's empowering, it's everything that you wish for, and that's what keeps a lot of people in the business here, even when they struggle with money. But it's being able to say, that's not really who I am. You know what? People know me as a musician. That's great, and it's really the impact that you can have on a community or people and make them feel things and really, you know, have that communication. To me, it's a communication. It's really a message that you are able to you know, give over to say, and they can relate. But then to be,
I'm just gonna be back for a second. I need to fix something here. Just give me 30 seconds. All right. Oh, sorry about that. All right. Yeah, let's continue here.
It's to step away and say, you know what, I'm a person, I'm a human being. I have, you know, hopefully you have a family, you have kids, and being able to say, you know what, this doesn't, that's who I really am. That's really the way I feel.
There's definitely, I think, this concept of people taking what people do or how they earn a living, and that being the entirety of what people think they are. To look at it from the flip side, I had a really interesting conversation with my wife last week, because I think it was like a random Monday night, and some Israeli musicians who were coming through town, they were flying through Newark. So they came by and they had dinner, and then we went to the studio and we were jamming and hanging out. And she was saying, like, she said to my brother-in-law, who's he's an electrician, and she said, can you ever imagine like coming back from work and having dinner, and then just for fun, like, you know, going to wire up some buildings in the evening? And it's such an interesting thing, because it's like, in a weird way, within music, I have to make that differentiation between like, okay, it's what I do, and it's how I support my family, and it's work, and it's also what I love, but not making all of that just mush into one, which is why, like, I really try. I mean, I'm not in the live event space like you, so it's much easier for me, but I try at 5 o'clock every day to stop, do dinner with my kids, put them to sleep, and then if I need to keep working, you know, or even if I just want to go and play music for fun, but I have to kind of draw that line. Otherwise, it's just like, you know,
it's hard. It's very hard to draw the line where the fun begins and where the business ends.
Especially when you really love all of it.
Yeah, and to your point regarding electrician, when you go to work, usually you have tools that you work with. In this business, 90% of what you do is in your head, so you're always in the business.
That's true. That is actually true. I mean, especially with videos and stuff. Like right now, I'm doing this cool thing where I take videos that don't have trailers and making my own trailers. So I did 2 Agent Ms episodes, and I did another Green Tech video, Double Agent, which, by the way, the people that made those videos saw the trailers and they loved it, which is really cool. But still, like those things just pop into my head. Compositions pop into my head. Video ideas pop into my head. When I did the vlog for the dinner, the how I pictured the vlog to look like was in my head, you know? So it's like, and also on Shabbos, when I take walks, there's tons of things that are just strolling through my head that all has to do with what I do with videos and music and stuff like that. So it is true that that there's a lot of brain capacity, and so you have to find that balance to have the brain capacity for the right things at the right time. Not saying that I shouldn't be thinking about what I love to do all the time, but still, like, when it comes to like being with family or being with being at my job, you know, that's the thing.
See, because I would walk in the shower in the morning and there's an arrangement happening because I know there's a song that I need to focus on this morning and it's sitting in my head.
By the time
so that part is very, very true. And it's, again, it's balance. It's really having hopefully a supportive partner that, you know, spouse that can. And I know for me it is very true that, you know, she wants my time. She wants me to be there for the kids. And I can tell you some things that I'm doing, especially because in the live, as you said, it's a lot harder. But it's really having her understanding and meaning I have a big family.
How many kids do you have?
Is it public? I have it's a nice size. Hashem. It's 8 kids.
Whoa!
Yeah. And trust me, she's the one doing all the work. I wouldn't say even the bulk of the work, because I call myself the Shabbos father. That's really how I call myself, because I'm trying to very much to be strict about it. I don't go away on Shabbos, even if I'm offered stuff. And if I do go, I usually take, like, I had a gig in London over a weekend. I took my daughter. Like it's my time with my kids.
You said before you've started doing things that you can talk, like what?
The way I see it is, you know,
I love how like the conversation shifted to like the balance of life in the music industry, as opposed to just like, oh, there's another trivia and other things, which I love also talking about Jewish music. But this is also a very big component of Jewish music that we don't necessarily talk about in the podcast and live streams.
As much as they need me or whatever, but it's more about I'm okay saying it. I love my kids. I want to know them. I want to spend time with them. I want to be there for them. Yeah, exactly. And what are you talking about? It's 19, 20 years or whatever, and you know, and then they're, you know, out doing their own thing, and I don't expect them to be, you know, next to me. But the point is that I really love them and I want to spend time with them. So what I came up with, I don't know if it was my idea, I can't remember, but what I do is, every night that I don't have a gig, it's not every night because I can't keep doing it in so quick cycles, but let's say it's once a month, I would take each kid out one at a time,
one-on-one,
just myself.
Wow.
And it's funny because I love the looks that I'm getting. Sometimes I walk into a restaurant and I hate saying it, but for some reason, maybe it's my community, but whatever it is, for some reason, people, when they see a father and a daughter, let's say, go out, they assume that they're divorced, like it's divorced parents. The looks that I'm getting,
as opposed to just like, I want to spend quality time with my daughter.
It's my daughter.
Wow.
I love.
That's, yeah, that could be interesting.
Though.
First of all, I love that you do that. It's so cool. I think when my kids are a bit older, I would love to do it.
I think it's one of the most beautiful. And I honestly started doing it for the older kids, but once the younger kids saw, there's alone time. So, you know, okay. So my youngest daughter, she's like, not my youngest, but one of the younger kids, she's like 5, you know.
Okay.
So she wants to go to Amazing Savings. We make fun of her, like amazing. The point is that she gets her thing. Okay, I buy her something. We go out, we spend time. So of course it's not the same one-on-one that you have with my 15-year-old. But the point is, that to me is important. That is, and it's not even a question. They call me and they ask me, okay, are you available that night? I want to go out. It's like it has to happen.
I love it. It's funny. I think I remember as a kid, my dad was a community rabbi. We had just 9 kids, and I remember him being like the busiest guy I knew. He's awake at 5 and would go to sleep late. And he had a thing. It was called happy hour. I think it may have been forced upon him by my mum initially.
Love it.
But it was like, I think at like 5 o'clock every day, he had to stop and he would do something with us. Either we would go to the library. I remember at one point, we live right near the airport in Manchester. We would literally go to the airport. But they had these, I don't know if they're called escalators, the flat ones, what they called.
I know what you mean.
And we would walk up and down, and it was just like this thing, like we had to, we're going to spend time together and talk to him about whatever was on our mind, and walk past the piano player who was playing in the lobby of the thing, and that's it. And then so it's really, it's hard. Like nowadays, life moves fast, and if you don't make some kind of like conscious effort, it doesn't happen.
It passes you so fast.
Yeah.
I like every time I get an opportunity to talk to people for the podcast and stuff, it's just like it's always in the back of my mind, like it's crazy. Like this is a time where they could spend with their families and stuff, and I'm just grateful. Like it's like in a way it's like sad that I'm doing it, but also in a way I'm so grateful for when these people in this industry do take the time and just spend like at least like I had a podcast interview that was spanned from a half hour to an hour and 45 minutes. And it's just like, even like, it doesn't matter how much time, I'm just grateful for any time I have with these people. It's amazing.
And I try to be, I'm more of a futuristic visioning. I live like, I always make fun of myself that I need to calm down and know what's happening now, because everything I see and I do is like, okay, I know what 10 years ahead, what needs to happen.
Sure.
It's just the way I naturally, and I don't even think about it, but it's these small little things, and I hear it back from all the people. I'm very much into listening to people that have been through things.
Sure.
I love people's experience. That's when I speak to people, that's what I'm after. I'm not here to what I have to offer. It's usually like there's so much interesting stories, and people have gone through so many interesting experiences, which if you can learn from other people's experience, I find it fascinating. So
yeah, I love that.
So my daughter right now, for example, a small example, but my wife just had You Hashem, we had our youngest, and my daughter, which is the oldest, she is amazing. She's the second mom at home, really, but really beyond.
How old is she?
From laundry,
she's like
cooking.
A teenager.
She's 15.
Okay.
I hope I'm saying it right. The next thing I'm gonna know is I said
make
she's
sure we
16.
check before,
Yeah, exactly. The bottom line is that she really worked hard, and she's amazing.
Right.
It's unbelievable what happens when she is home, when she's not home. That's when you see the difference. So we really try to give her like her time, also her space. Like she went this weekend, Matzah Shabbos, she went like to a play, whatever, like with her friends, like, stuff like that.
Sure.
Just a day off, kind of thing. And so after the baby, my wife came home, and we always talked about, okay, I'm gonna do something with her besides going out for a regular dinner. So I literally came home one night, one evening, and it was like no work. It was 4:30. I left the office. I went home, and she's like, okay, what are we doing? Are we doing something? And this is what I love. I love this, the spontaneous stuff. It's great to plan everything, but you know what? When it's not planned, it's sometimes even better. So I called up my usual travel agent, Hershkowitz from Shira. He does all our travel.
Okay.
I'm like, what's the next flight I can catch to Florida? So it was 4:30, almost 5-ish in the afternoon. He's like, earliest you can make it is I don't remember. It was a Delta 7:30 from LaGuardia. I'm like, book 2 tickets. I didn't even ask the price. And it's not to say you spend money like that. It was an expensive trip, but I felt so good doing it that I didn't even care that much. So it was a Tuesday. I think it was a Tuesday evening. I had to be back on Thursday for a big gig or something like that, or maybe one Monday to Wednesday. I don't remember. We landed at 11 in Miami. Called a friend on the way and asked him, like, okay, you have 2 beds. Is it possible? If not, I was going to take a hotel. he was extremely nice, and obviously I know him. And he offered. It was very nice of him to offer 2 beds for the night, for both nights, and we went to his house. And the next morning, again, this was a working day for me.
Right.
Just be aware, like,
Yeah.
just be aware. I didn't disconnect. Like, the office was running. I was busy on phone calls a
Right.
lot, and I told my daughter before, like, just know this is gonna happen, but I still think it's important we do it. So in the morning, woke up, davened, like, went to Zach the baker, like, just
Yeah.
had nice breakfast, just chill. She loves nicer, like, the nice car, so we made sure it's
Okay,
a nice
cool.
convertible. Like, it's just the small things, which,
Sure.
I mean, it's not so small for some. My point is that
No, it's
it
the
was
small things that make a huge difference. And
exactly. And when I talk to older people and I tell them that I did this, and that they're like, she's never gonna forget it. It was a
Right.
trip for me. Don't talk about, forget her. You know how much I enjoyed spending
Sure.
a day like that with my daughter. We went out to eat an evening, and then the next morning she was back in school the day after.
Probably felt like a dream. Like
Yeah, it was so quick, but it's so good. And
I also am a big believer that like a change in scenery really helps you to, like, if you did the same thing and it's like, okay, you're gonna hang out with me while I do my work in New York, like, it's much
it's
harder.
very, very true, especially for artists. You wanna refresh every now and then.
Yeah.
Give me something different.
Let's keep talking.
It's great. I love this whole conversation and the fact that it continues on to just explain how like they are people. And it's funny because our brains work in a way where we see people on screen, we just get a whole different perception of who they are in real life. It's just how our brain chemistry works. And so to see this like genuine conversation between 2 artists having the same problems, human problems as any of us would have, it's crazy. It's very nice to watch and listen.
To your story.
I had plenty aha moments. Mono, I think, if I remember, was the first one. There were iconic albums in between. Like, I heard arrangements, and I went back even years after. For me, it's arrangements because I've always, I don't consider myself a songwriter, and I've
Okay.
always connected way more with the
Arranging.
with the picture, with the background of the picture than the forefront.
Okay.
Like, that's, I don't know why. Like, with that album, for example, two days after, probably 3 days after I listened to that album over and over again, the L'chaim Yidin album, I walked around the house singing along every bass note. Now, a 7-year-old, 8-year-old, or whatever it was, even if it was a little older, you're not supposed to sing along bass lines. That's not something you do.
Right.
But it was always, to me, for some reason, the focal point. That's how my head always has been there. Sometimes I'm even having a hard time remembering the melody.
Wow.
Which I'll remember every note in the arrangement, like every string line and the tension as the right tension. But if you ask me the specific note of the melody, I might not
That's
even
so
hear it.
interesting. Right.
And over the years, I actually made a focus to become there, because I realized that melody is, that's why I'm saying what I'm amazed by Mona was actually, take away all the harmony, take away all of that. His ability to just structure melody and counter melodies is beyond. That's what I'm still, after, because that to me is like, I know we live in a world now where melody has become almost obsolete. It's like a beat, give me a feel and let people sing along or whatever.
Yeah.
I still think there's something to melody. Melody, when you can take away everything else and just sing and still hear the song, that's what people are able to connect to, I think, more than anything else. You can sell a vibe. I can sell a big system with great.
That's also the problem with nowadays about music, is that they're mostly beats. They're mostly a note here, 1, 2, 3 notes. There's no melody. There's no composition. There's no storytelling in the music. There's no journey taking. There's no, there's no story in the music itself that you could take away. And by the way, half of the You Hashem songs are like that. My phone. Oh gosh. Hey, my phone is my camera. Just give me a second. Oh gosh, I forgot. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, what's up? Good. I'm middle of something. Is this important? What? Oh yeah, I know. I don't know, because I'm in the middle of doing something. It might take a while, so I don't know. If it's too late, I'm just gonna go back to Yeshiva. No, I'll pick it up next time I come. It's fine. It's just a water bottle. Okay. Bye. Sorry about that. Gosh. Let me turn off my sound over here. When I was just a little boy. I don't know why that song is stuck in my head. All right. We're back. All right. Sorry about that. What were we talking about? Yeah. Nowadays, like we're also losing I'll give you a big example, like how older songs, one of the best parts of it are the intros. How you Saw a Lamb or Yossi Green would sit down and just compose a whole different song in the intro itself. Like that's a whole intro. And that's one of the most famous compositions in Jewish music. And the fact that just we don't have that nowadays. You know what I mean? That people just go straight to the song, which is fine. But then the song itself there's no journey or composition to itself either. It's just a beat or one or two notes. Like there has to be a soundtrack, not soundtrack. There has to be a sound, a story, a journey into the songs itself, and we're missing that.
Kick, bass line, and just a couple of chords. It's awesome. I'm not diminishing it, but when people sit down at the end of the day, I don't know if it's on a Shabbos or Stamazai, like if you don't have music,
if someone's on a desert island with an acoustic guitar, does it still work?
Exactly.
That's the test.
Exactly. And there's a room for both. I'm not saying one is more than the other, but
you're actually right. On Shabbos, it's even one step further. It's like when people sit down at Shabbos table, what are the songs they're going to sing? If it's a song that really relies on the groove and the bass and everything else, and it's like this,
the space in between the melody.
Yeah, you
can't sing along. And it's not to say, oh, please make music for Shabbos. It's not the point. The point is that I value that a lot. I think, so I had plenty of aha moments, going back to that. I had plenty of aha moments. That was one of them. Later on, I obviously started studying music. So there's a lot
What age did you start studying?
I think it was around 12, 13 when, funny enough, friends of mine, older friends, convinced my father that he has to do something with it.
Wow.
And this also is an interesting part of the story, because to think that someone in Monroe, my father's age, would be okay with me studying music is I can't even explain it to people that don't understand the culture, how out of the box that is. Right. And my father's not an out of the box guy. If I showed you my father within an entire shul in Monroe, you would never believe, oh, that's Mendy's father. First of all, he's the quietest guy, but that's not the point. That's a personality. He fits in Monroe more than Monroe fits itself. But the point is, for a guy like that to have the open mind, and I give him a lot of credit for that. Besides being an amazing father, I always tell people, this is really what happened. I wrote my parents a note the day I got married, and I said, in the end of the note, I wrote that if I can be half as good to my kids as you were to me, I'll feel accomplished in life.
Wow.
And I really meant it, because it's not so much what you do for a child that he remembers, but it's the feeling that he had growing up. I can't remember every detail that they did, and I can't.
It's like the idea that, like, oh, we have to do like to reward a child. It's not about the reward itself. Oh, how big can I go? Can I go on a trip? Can I take the flight to New York? You know, it's the feeling of accomplishment, the feeling of connection. That's what gets kids going. Not necessarily what they get.
Can't say, oh, there wasn't hard times, or, you know, my parents knew when to be strict. They knew when to not let me have what I want. But it's the appreciation of what they were there for me, and always knowing that there is that safe space. There is that, and besides all the other stuff. Again, everything comes with its, ups and downs. But I really meant it that way, and I hope I can be to my kids like that. So to have that, to be able to, and later on I heard my father told me, okay, I spoke to this and this guy and then whatever, and he told me, yeah, go ahead, give it to him, which also blows my mind, because this wasn't an okay thing in Satmar, to say the least. It's not because bad or strict or this. It was just like, kids playing music. No, you gotta go, yeshiva, learn, and
Sure.
okay, have fun outside on the street after you come home. But and I still think back and I'm a little amazed. I think there's other factors also.
What do you think it was that I guess encouraged and made it okay? Like, what, despite your dad being more Monroe than Monroe is, where did that come from? Does he come from a musical family, or why do you think that was important to him?
So my parents have a very interesting dynamic. I don't know how much of it we can get into, but the point is, my
As much
mother,
as you're comfortable with.
I'm very comfortable.
Let's then go for it.
My mother is more the very disciplined type, very strict. Everything is like, and she knows exactly what she wants, and it has to be this way, which I appreciate a lot. That gave me a lot of the discipline and whatever. My father is very much the heart person, like very, very much. Like he comes. I know my grandmother. That's where it comes from. Hershkowitz Bechlal, like the Hershkowitz family in general, very much like easy, like very. It's all heart, a lot of heart, and it makes them a little easier to take advantage of. Whatever, we can get into all the details and dynamics, but I think my father always had the hard part, which is a kid. I see how much he wants it. I see I don't want to take it away from him. And I think my mother was more like, is it a good thing? Is it not a good thing? Like, is it like, is this okay? Right. And I think what ended up happening, as I said before, there were other factors. I think it helped that there were people in the family that wanted to play music and they never got to play and didn't work out so well. So that was probably a factor of saying, we don't want, we don't want to restrict it because I don't think that's really going to work.
Yeah.
And I can't say for sure. I think the next interview you should do with my parents, and they will have a lot more to say probably than I remember.
I'd love to do that.
But I can't. The part that I'm probably trying mostly to convey is how out of the box, how weird that was to have someone study music. So basically, I grew up on Lizensk, which happens to be a dead end street up the hill next to the yeshiva, the big yeshiva. So, and my parents had a basement. Like it was, before it was raw, then it was fixed up. And because it was next to yeshiva, at lunch and whatever, all the breaks, the Bucham would hang out over there, even before I was in yeshiva, which is interesting. I don't know exactly. I think my mother had older brothers that used to come there or whatever. So that's technically how it started. And it started becoming a place where they would get together, and then it became a music place. I think that basement probably would go down as one of the most iconic places in Monroe, especially if you're looking at the history of Freilich Band, of where I come from, and
that's where it started.
That's really the core. I mean, the band, the yeshiva band, started in a couple other places, but I think essentially became the spot. Shlomi Spillman would come there. Like you start going through the list of guys that don't even play anymore, and that was the spot where they all went through. So that's to have that, and then I played along. I played very young. I used to play. I mean, I would play at 11. The shul on the block, if they would do a Matzah Shabbos, I would get to play a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, at that point I was playing one-man band. I was programming my own stuff, Yamaha keyboard. I don't remember, whatever. But as the time went on, I knew more and more that I'm not doing this. Like nothing against one-man bands. I appreciate and love what they do, and especially they came a very long way musically. I think it upgraded a lot, and especially now where the EDM is heading, they definitely captured a lot of that. We can talk about that later. But the point is that I saw pretty early on that I'm not. I think at 12 I made the decision. I'm studying piano. I want to know the music. I remember running around asking people how notes work. I wanted to know how do you read notes. And my uncle knew a little bit. He told me whatever. So that's really the drive was there, and I didn't even. Funny enough is I didn't care for the stage. That's the honest truth. I never thought. I used to dream about performing later on, but I never did it because I wanted to play in front of people. Once I tasted it and you saw how people react, okay, then it became like almost like it's a drug.
Sounds like you had this inner thing for arranging from a young age.
That's what I would say. I used to analyze music. To me, the analytical part of it was always and that's also part of later on where I had to throw away the analytics and just say, okay, what does it feel like?
Right. Back to the emotion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a process, as you know, I'm sure you know this more
Sure.
than anyone.
It's funny because, like, me personally, I wish I knew more about notes and composition and music than I do now. I always love to learn, but and it comes to like the points where like, oh, we're gonna do this like Coleman, and I'm like, what does that mean? You know what I mean? Like they could throw around words or the E minor, C minor. I'm like, you just say it for me. I wish I knew them. I should know them.
So that's when one of my friends, which was probably 4 or 5 years old, it used to be in the basement, and my uncle at that point started with Marty Laskin saxophone. So, and they
Can you just tell me who he is for people?
So Marty Laskin is used to play for Neshama. He's a saxophone player, alto, amazing flute player. Like he didn't just play flute because he played the saxophone. You know, that type of people. Everything was studied properly. I don't remember the exact school that he went to. I don't think it was Juilliard. I think he was later on teaching in Juilliard or something like that.
Okay.
Talking about a guy that, you know, is a math genius, everything, science, like it's really, yeah. The more I get to know him, even today, these days, I'm still blown away by the capacity that this guy holds. And he used to be like a regular musician on the bandstand. Always appreciated his playing. He had a very unique style, like a mix of in between classic and jazz, where like he would play. It can play like classical Bach pieces on a flute, executed 100%, and then play John Coltrane. Insane musician, really. I have there's like, I remember when I asked him once, I'm like, a couple interesting conversations that I had with him. So I asked him once, how do I know when I'm professional? Like, you know, he's like, Mendy, don't worry about it. It's like when they pay you and they call you again, that's when you're a professional. So that was one thing. And then at some point I told him, Morty, you know what I learned about you? Every time I ask you about a musician, what do you think? There's two types of answers. There's one answer which is, oh, that guy's a pro. There's like, and then he has a nice sound. You know, he this, that. I said, like, when you talking about something specific, I know, okay, it's not the complete package.
Right.
Pro means, okay. So to me, he is the pro. He's the musician, the ultimate musician.
He's got it all.
Yeah. You know, he's gotten a lot older since then, since we studied, but it was an amazing experience.
So he's like always been your mentor, basically.
Yeah, I started out first studying with other people. My father brought down some people to the house where I studied, and that's when I got actually introduced to jazz, like very heavy. Some of the teachers that came to my house, classic, like really heavy on jazz, and then I got to Morty, which Morty was a harder thing to get to. I guess my father at some point tried avoiding maybe having to travel because Morty had to go down to him.
Where did
in Westchester. So I used to travel every week with my uncle. Sometimes my father would take me. Sometimes different people would take me. It was like it became a thing that I need to do. Would go to his house and just spend an hour plus. He never looked at the clock, but and he has so much to talk about, like besides studying music. So it was an amazing experience.
Wow.
I think initially I went to him to study piano, but I think I learned more music than piano itself.
Right.
He is an amazing piano player, but the theory, the music that I learned from him is something I'll never forget. And I think I owe most of the credit to my music foundation to Marty Laskin. That's the guy I would, and then, you know, we got to do this class recently, and that's the reason I wanted to do it, because I know how much this is the way I feel. There's so much talent coming up now. There's so much talent out there in general. And I feel almost I'm bad that I was fortunate enough to fall into the right place and study through, you know, I'm sure I can still be better. That's not, the point is not to say, oh, I have it, some don't. But I know how much talent can be shaped when it's with the right people than when it's just talent. And it's amazing.
Right.
You can be amazed by what people figure out and what they do. But, you know, just to have that polish, to make something sound more complete, to make something sound, it's not to make anyone feel bad. It's just really made for us to realize I took it on almost as a responsibility. When someone comes to me and asks me, okay, my son wants to learn music, what can I do? I try to tell him, please find a professional teacher. Even if he doesn't know every Jewish tune, but the way that talent will shape into what it could be is so much. And
Right.
do you need it? No, you don't need it. It's not life-saving, but I feel that is
To uncover the potential of, yeah, you would say.
I find so many people that are so talented, and it's just a little technique missing, just a little.
I wish that I had. I mean, I've pretty much played by ear my
You
whole
play
life.
amazing.
No, but I see a lot of the time like classical, or kids who have like classical, you know, the classic Russian teachers, and they're very strict, and I'm not a fan of that. At the same time, like there is a part of me that wishes at some point I had like trained, you know, classically and done technique, because I get frustrated in things that
I also wish, like, in a way that I could go to a professionally class and get all these things and understand all these things, but just unfortunately, I just didn't. I mean, I still can, but right now I'm not at the capacity to. But there's always a part of me that I would love to grow and learn more, and I would have. And there's always a part of me that I wish that I knew more before, as opposed to like trying to know it now. There's always a side of us that will love to grow into our professions, or lack of a better word, talents in a way.
I get stuck with. And obviously I have developed my own style, part of which is probably actually working around some of those
The limitations.
Yeah, 100%.
But it's great. Look, most amazing musicians is not because of their ability, that
that's what they're trying to get out from in here.
it's
For
your
sure.
connection to the music. And anything you want to learn, you can learn.
Yeah.
That's the
There's no
honest truth.
excuses. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but it's
And
harder
if you don't
to
have time, you need to prioritize things differently.
yeah, and it's harder. Of course, it's harder once you get used to a certain
Sure.
technique. It's very hard. It's harder to change it, but it's still doable. I find I saw people that have had like technique problems, and I gave them the Hanon, you know,
Sure.
the pianist book. I ask people to study it with a teacher, because technically you can do everything right, but just by not having the hand
The
shape right,
yeah.
and you know, practicing certain parts that
Sure.
are not in the book. So, you know, that's why I recommend it. But again, most people that come to me and ask me, okay, you know, how can I learn music? I'm like, what's your end goal? Like, people ask me, do I need to know sheet music? And I'm like,
Right.
the second you ask that question, you don't need it. Like, if you want to be a top
But
tier,
if you don't know that you need it, then
yeah, exactly. I studied sheet music not because I thought, oh, that's the only way I'll get hired.
right.
I studied sheet music because I felt I want to be complete. I didn't care if I'm ever going to use it.
Right.
Like, I'm studying now, either if it's weird music, like completely.
By the way, that's the way to go about it when you study things about your, lack of a better word, profession. Is that the more you know, the more you get a whole picture about the way you want to go about things. You know what I mean? Like not necessarily, like, for example, music. Do like he said, song sheets, but also like for me personally, if I want to come to music, do I necessarily need to learn about genres of music? Not necessarily, because I'm gonna sing my own things. But when you do have that extra knowledge, you never know how much of a bigger picture you'll have in your head when you go about things, because of all the little things you know, as opposed to just the things that you want to know, that you need to know. Yeah, exactly. Like you want to know more, not just what you need.
You know, Indian style
Sure.
stuff. Again, you can say everything will be implemented, but the point is that it's not what I'm getting paid for.
It's just expanding your knowledge.
It's expanding, exactly. The same thing with film music and stuff like that. The reason I study orchestration, I have plenty of people that can orchestrate. It's being able. It's for you. It's me between
Sure.
myself that I just feel I want to have that.
It's funny, I had that exact battle with reading music for a big part of my life. I've always struggled with it. Even to this day, I'm a terrible reader. And
Don't believe him, these guys.
no, you stick sheet music in front of me and you'll see for yourself. But this is the point of what I'm saying, is that I have for such a long time, I was like, okay, well, I'm a musician. I want to be a professional musician. And at a certain point, I started to say to myself, well, why is that so important to me? Is it because, like, do I want to be able to do that? Am I turning down opportunities because I don't know how? Or is it something that I think that I have? And then at some point I realized, actually, with what I want to do and what I'm passionate about, which is production, and the kind of production I'm doing, and, you know, so yes, there are some times where I implement it, but actually, let me stop getting hung up on that You know, I'm not really being hired as a session musician, which is not something that I really want to do anyway. So it's like, it's so rare that anyone puts a piece of music in front of me that I have to read. So I was like, okay, if at any point I decide that I want to do that for me, great. Otherwise, stop obsessing about it and let me do what I'm doing.
You couldn't have said it any better, and that's the exact way I feel. Why? You don't need to know sheet music to create music.
Right.
You don't need to know chords to write. I mean, everything is a helpful tool.
Sure.
But that's why I ask, you know, what's your end goal? If you want to be hired as a professional musician in studio and live and whatever, then yeah, you better learn sheet music because that's what the business demands.
I also had the same thing, by the way, with jazz. I eventually at age 18, I ended up in a music school in Israel. And for 2 out of the 3 years, I was just learning how to speak Hebrew, so I didn't learn anything. But there's a huge emphasis on jazz. And I remember, you know, being at least halfway through school thinking like, still can't play jazz. Basically, you know, I'm a failure. Like, and it was this obsession about this thing. And then I realized, hold on a second. Do I want to play jazz? And I mean, obviously we can get into what that means, but it's like, I don't want to sit there. Not that there's anything wrong with people who do this and play jazz standards in a bar, but can I take things from listening to jazz music and implement that into what I do? And that's what I started to do. I started to take the things that I connect with and that I do know and make that part of, and that's it was like a really, both of those realizations for me were huge. It's like, what do I want to say? And what are the tools that I can take a little bit from here, a little bit from there, and put it all into one thing, you know?
Number one, that's what makes you.
And remove the imposter syndrome. It's like, you know,
exactly. It's hard. It's really hard because you set a certain standard for yourself, and it's usually not your setting. It's someone else setting the standard. Oh, you know, if you want to be this great musician, you got to know this, you got to know that, and you're trying to live up to what is important to some other people, and then you start realizing how important is it to me to know this, and it's the same. If you're looking at music like a language, that's the way I look at music. Music happens to be just another language. There's English, Hebrew, whatever, Yiddish, and then there's music. Happens to be this is the closest language to the heart. So you can, you know, it's an emotional language which goes straight. You don't need lyrics to get there. Yeah. You know? So, but at the end of the day, if it's a language, can you judge someone that uses language for comedy? Can you just judge someone that uses language for giving mitzvah, you know? And it's still a language.
That's what it is. It's removing that any sense of like judgment or, you know, I actually think also now when I play the piano or people ask like, what kind of style do you play? I think the thing that I don't want to say proudest of, but the thing that I love the most is that I genuinely, there's no box for it. I don't know. It's all of the things that it's the nigunim, Chabad nigunim that I grew up with, mixed with spending 3 years in a jazz school in Israel, mixed with the fact that I love classical music, even though I don't play classical pieces, you know, come out of everything else. And it's like, it's all the different parts of me on the piano.
I believe that's the bad part about music. If there is a bad part, it's the labels. Yeah. And thank God through the years, there's so much that music's shaped into. I remember the first time, I don't know if we should talk about it, but
we should talk about everything.
Dirty Lose, when they came out the first time, it was so fresh. It was so. How would you define the style? You had to pick multiple styles to define, and
it was like pop and fusion, and
jazz and everything, and you know, vocals. It was you're not used to hearing pop and fusion. I mean, fusion on that level with vocals, especially not pop, especially very not pop hits. Vocals.
Yeah.
So you know, that's exactly what music is. If you ever want to, you know, cross over to the next thing, that's exactly where it's at.
It's funny actually and we're jumping from thing to thing, which is fine. But I, with Jewish music also specifically, is that like, I keep saying that to me, every time something new or exciting happened in Jewish music, it was because it hadn't been done before and it was breaking some kind of box or thing, you know. And what's most disappointing to me is that when that happens, suddenly everyone's then trying to copy that thing. I'm like, no, the whole point, the reason, you know, whether it's Yishai Ribo as the most obvious example, the way he combines psukim with modern Hebrew and that musical style is what made him unique. As soon as I start hearing singers in America trying to do him, I'm like, no, you've missed the point. It's like, what is your Yishai Ribo? You know?
It's an identity thing, but people, it's hard. It's really hard, especially because that's really where the difference happens. It's some people are creators in the sense where they literally can make things out of nothing.
Right.
And then there are some people who are really great at delivering something.
Right. So you're basically saying their job is to show up at events and sing and not have to worry about.
Yeah, don't write, don't get involved, but you need a good song still.
Yeah.
It's always the song and the singer is always a marriage that you have to find.
Yep.
So that's the way I see it. But Yisha is he definitely shifted the sound and the lyrics. It wasn't just lyrics.
Right.
It wasn't just the style of lyrics. It was.
Okay, we'll come back to that in a second. I want to get back to your professional start. So at some point you decided that the live band thing is what you want to do. When did that launch?
I kind of fell into the live thing. This is how it happened, because I told you, going back to that basement thing where we used to sit and jam.
Sure.
And I was more of the younger guy over there. I probably was the youngest, actually. These were older Bahram. At that point they were 19. I was probably 14. That's the. And they started getting a little bit of gigs here and there, just even if it's small mitzvah gigs, like that kind of thing, going to whatever. And they started going out. At some point they had keyboard players. They didn't have, like, all these. You have to understand, in the yeshiva, these people get married, they can do it, they will do it. Nobody looked at it like a real profession at that time.
Right.
Plenty of musicians went and go. Like, it wasn't a thing that stayed. Even bands. There was, even in my older uncle's ages, there were band ideas. Yoli Brach, I don't know if you remember him, the saxophone player. He was also part of a band at some point, but it never really materialized into a professional, especially not a business, into even a professional band. So they did gigs here and there. That's when I met Avrami Shriver, which is the drummer. We became partners later on. He would be in the basement. We would play together, and he was one thing we had in common, besides whatever else we did. But the main thing we had in common, we both took it very serious. I took my lessons very serious. He took his studying very, very serious. Like, he's religious about it. Like,
that's the way to do things. Like, people say, like, oh, YouTube is like a hobby. It is, but I do want to pursue it in a way. I am taking it seriously with investment and time and money. Like, all these things. Like, and that's the only way it will work. That's the only way it should work. And that's the only way to succeed is when you do. You got to matzasi. That's exactly what it is.
At that point, we'd go to study every week, practice, and practice was important. It wasn't just about going to a teacher. We used to spend hours. I tell people,
it was just the two of you practicing together, or
there were other people practicing also, but it was that seriousness that we both had, and I think between us, we both knew that we're doing this long term. That's how it happened. So he got into more playing. I'm skipping a couple of years, but he got more into playing live with Nagina. It was a cool thing for them to sell a Hasidic Shabbat playing drums on their gigs. Also because Matt Miller was his teacher, I think, and Matt Miller was a player at Nagina, so automatically got him in. I always looked at different bands that I liked more because they respected the music a little more. I was very into that. So for me, I started doing some gigs with. Funny enough, early on it was Neshama, which was Marty Laskin was a natural extension of that. I think he's the one actually that got me in there. Right, you have to try this keyboard player, whatever. And through them, I think I met Eitan Katz, which used to hire me. I had very specific artists that I wanted to work with, and I didn't need the work at that point. So I was like, so that's how it started. And we used to have the gigs with the yeshiva boys,
Sure.
I think at some point, Avrami and we had a conversation, and he's going on and about the fact that there's no sound on every gig, and I have to, like, basically how
no sound, like
proper sound, and it's not taking serious, whatever. We always had these issues, like and we were religiously serious about it. Like,
how old are you guys at this point?
Probably Avrami 21, me 15. I don't remember.
Wow.
Like, maybe a little older.
Okay.
It's hard for me to remember every twist and turn at what date it was. At that point, Liebisch Meltzer was at the peak, first peak, let's call it. Like, he was making waves in the Jewish music world, and for him, it was a very novel idea to have Hasidic guys play in his band.
Right.
and which MBD picked it up after, like whatever. It was like an extension of many things, and there are plenty of people that I'm leaving out along the way,
Sure.
which I don't want them to get offended. But
you were the first Hasidim to like be the actual musicians in the band, backing on people.
Taking it seriously, being able to read sheet music, being able to write. I remember sitting and writing up the arrangements after the album came out. So we took it serious with the sheet music and writing and everything. So we would even, we would source out the professional musicians also for what we didn't have in the band. But I think at that point we actually had pretty much a full band, horn section as well, of Hasidic guys. So that was a novel idea.
And you were doing all the arrangements?
I was writing most of it, yeah.
So 1 second. So that at this point, there's already Freilach band or was it
not established as a name. It was. I think there were plenty of names that people gave us. Someone gave us the Monroe Power, the BMB Boys. It was plenty.
Okay.
There were names flying all over the place. Everyone that hired us for a gig gave us a new name.
We got a new name. Okay.
Yeah. No, Freilach happened much later. The name, but I think at some point, Avram and I got together and we said, you know what, we have to take it serious. And I told Avram, look, if we want to take it serious, the only way it's going to happen is if you don't take gigs with them, I don't take gigs with nobody. It's like we have to be committed to this thing and start taking it seriously. So somewhere along the way that happened. Some people came and went. Partners, not partners, this, that. Like I won't bore you with all the details. It's but at some point the name was established as Freilach. And then it was a grind. It was a very long grind. I always tell people, there's a line that I love to say. There's a famous line that every overnight success is 20 years in the making.
Right.
And it's so true, because no one wants to see the 4 o'clock in the morning when I got up early to study with headphones on a hard, on a piano key, because I knew that that's important, so I can practice 2 hours before I go to yeshiva.
Wow.
So, and the same for me. The same goes for everything. And no one wants to hear the 7 years of grind where I don't think we made $1. Like
really for 7 years.
It was a long time before we were able to say, okay, this company is actually worth something. It was prices weren't where they are today to begin with, but we weren't giving up on the quality. So inevitably there was an insane amount of writing. There was an insane amount of care for sound and all of that. It was a grind throughout, and then we're bringing in
also, like when you hear the Freilach band or Mendy Hershkowitz band videos, and when they do the medleys with on tributes or nostalgia, the amount of care and respect they give for every note and every transition between the songs and the compositions of the old to mix it in with every song, it's so beautiful to listen to, and it's something that a lot of people take for granted. Is the arrangements and the composition in those songs. And it's amazing to hear like from the singers themselves that that's what we intended. It's not just something that we did out of the blue. Like, it's not just something we're doing because we could. It's something that we actually made sure to keep and care for.
One from Israel, and like we're putting out material, content, video, all of this. And poor my wife, she's the one that probably suffered more than myself, not going into so much detail, but the fact was that financially it wasn't really worth it, I think. Right. But I was so focused, I think we were so focused on the goal of, we're going to make a quality band in Jewish music. And right behind us was already more bands happening. Once that happened, you had Evanal, you had all these other kids coming up, and they were great. It was really great for the industry. Finally, people were taking it serious. Finally,
you were kind of like, you spearheaded this movement of much younger musicians, because Neshama and Nagina, they were all older.
And with the biggest respect to them, as I told you, Marty Laskin being the, let's call it from the generation before us with the professional musicians, so much respect for him. I remember schmoozing with Lamb, Israel Lamb, he would write all these chuppahs, which that became industry standard. Everyone that's doing a chuppah today is still emulating what he created. It's whether it's his style or whatever you want to talk about. The bottom line is that he did it, and that was the standard. That became the standard for chuppahs.
Right.
So, it's you need to respect what happened, because you wouldn't be doing what you're doing unless they did it before.
100%. You can take, and that's what pays me when they do the Haas concerts. They don't respect the old Haas concerts enough to the point where they're doing it properly now. For example, having a 40-piece band behind you, but doing a DJ instead. Pre-recorded recordings on stage, but even though you have a 40-piece band behind you, not playing the themes enough, and not doing overtures with the theme enough, just the little things, not having Al Nachum Zila at every concert, which they should have. Just all these things, like, why are they just pushing it further and further away from what we want has concerts to be? And it's exactly what Mendy Hershkowitz is saying, is the respect that you give to the old is what giving it the best quality you can for modern technology and music, but still giving the respect to those that brought you to where you are today. And I hate that the producers that has concerts now don't have that same philosophy. And how do I know they don't? Because it's what is it called? What's the quote? It's the something with the pudding, whatever it is. The end, how we know the fact that they don't have enough respect is because of the end results of their concert that they produce.
Get further. It's very nice of you, It's
Right.
But they did it, and the same goes for the next one.
Yeah.
I try to help every artist, young kid talent, for the same reason, because they are the future. They are the one that's going to drive the music forward. You might as well tell them what you know and let them take it to where they can take it, because it's the same thing that was done to you,
Right.
and it's the right thing to do. So that's talking about that band. So that's when the name was established, and it was, as I said, it was a grind. It was a long grind, and then it became, slowly but surely, we started picking up the bigger gigs. The artists loved us. There were agents. There's so many people to credit. If I had to make a book of credits for everyone that gave us a gig, for everyone that, the first wedding, I remember, I think I might have been 15. I don't know, honestly.
Whoa!
I think it was Yankee Lemmer's wedding. I think we went back at some point, and it was his wedding that I did the first wedding.
Wow!
It was booked through Shia Reifer, a trumpet. Like, there's so many people. I could probably print a book of 2,000 names of people.
It's huge.
And I found myself on the live stage pretty much like that. And I used to sit in the back. I used to bring my amp. I don't remember if it had a DX7. Later on, I had something else, a Ketron or whatever. And I was so afraid of the stage. I mean, I don't think I was afraid of the stage at that point. I think I was shy more.
Right.
The second we finished the set, I would run off the stage, and I wasn't leading. There was plenty of other people leading, depending on who booked the band. Even within our band, the saxophone player was leading. There was different people leading. I just used to prepare the charts, and that was it. We had big books and everything. It's times. So I loved my spot in the back, sitting, one keyboard, one amp, simple live.
Right.
Just have fun playing nice chords and communicating with the rhythm section. Follow Verme's kick. That was.
Right.
I remember the small stuff. Like that was the gig, and
you always look back, like, even for me, you always look back into when you first started doing these things, when it was at a point where it was more passion than production, in a way. Like, even though there's the only way you can continue doing these things is if you have the same amount of passion, but still, like, the raw passion, that's a better prescription. The raw passion is what's cool about it to think about. Menachnach or Menach or Khan, I'm not sure. Hey, it's you too. Yeah, continue commenting, guys. Also, if you have any questions or topics to talk about Jewish music, I would love to talk about it and get my opinions and just answer your guys' questions. So keep commenting. So I like to engage to those who are with us in the stream. But all right, let's continue.
Along the way, later on, I got married. It was 2007, I think I got married. And
how old are you?
I think I was 19.
No.
Yeah.
That's very young.
So at that point, Avram is probably 25, whatever. So it's most of the people in the band are older than me. And I get married pretty young, and life starts, obviously. I'm still pushing this. And this went on for another 5 years at least of pushing. And meantime, I'm doing more production also. Like, I love production.
I was going to say, at what point did you get into, like, studio production?
So I didn't arranging. I did before,
right?
Like, I did. I think my first official arrangement was Pusha T for
oh, no way.
The title track for that album for Lipa, and it was also like we tried, bringing our style into it. Okay, it's going to be a bossa nova. Jewish music doesn't have bossa nova. We're going to do it. I like the harmony changes. Like I tried being ourselves there. So I did arranging at that point quite a bit. The production, really getting into producing, happened a lot later. I think it happened actually when I sold my partnership to Avrami.
Okay.
And I was doing already albums by then, but that's really when I got into
How long
it.
ago was that?
I sold my partnership to I think it was June of 2014.
Okay.
So yeah, that's 7 years after I got married. So it's a time after.
About 10 years ago.
At that time, yeah. At that time, the band is pretty well established. It's definitely worth something. I don't think it was worth that much. It definitely took off a lot after. And then I stayed on for another 2 years. And then I left in June.
2014. When was Has 26? Because that was when the Freilich band was in a Has concert. They did the first Has concert. See here, description. Release date 2012. Yeah, so Mendy Hershkowitz was still in that band at that time. That's crazy. Yeah, so again, Has 36 is one of the first bands, first concerts of Hask that didn't have Nagina Orchestra and Yisrael Lam. It had the Freilich band. It was a weird concept at the time, and the overture was such a letdown. It wasn't bad in itself, but just it was like you come from the Nagina Orchestra with a banger, so come on bangers of overtures, and then you get to that. It was just like, you know what I mean? Like it was just like a rocket.
2016, which was 2 years later. That's when I left the band.
Was that hard to do?
It was very hard. It's something that we built together, but me, myself, I put my life into it. I mean, just go back to the struggle part,
Sure.
Having to go through all these years, not really making money, but doing it with one goal. And we accomplished the goal. That was the big part, Baruch Hashem, it was so satisfying to see that we can actually make live music sound good and feel good and
make money from it.
Yeah, and eventually start making money and building it. It was very satisfying. There were internal issues, there were complications, and I said at some point that it's not worth living the rest of my life suffering through like some of these things, and to no one's fault. Meaning, sure. I'm not blaming anyone. It's just someone once told me, you stayed Bacham. It never matured into something bigger, and I think about that line quite a bit. There are some people who are still begging us to kind of play together. Right. It might be a novel idea for one day, like just get together and play a couple of these old pieces that people really liked when we did it. Baruch Hashem, we both moved on. Freilich became much bigger, and Baruch Hashem, what we established also is thank you Hashem.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a hard thing. I'm not gonna lie about it. I remember going through it, and I remember having to make that decision, taking something you've built with your blood and like sweat and tears, everything, putting your life into it, and almost making it your identity. That's one thing I really kept well. By the way, it's like growing up balanced, going back to my parents, growing up and knowing, okay, my family is always the one that I have, and not attaching myself to the name of the band as well as even now with the band being on my name, I fought very hard not to have it. But people, rightfully so, they convinced me that, look, you come from Freilich, you already did this, it was this, and that, and just now you're going to do another name. Yeah, that was also part of the point. They said it has to be about you. Whatever. Point being is that me having my name necessarily in the bandstand is not a comfortable thing.
What's the word? You had to move your keyboard from the back of the stage to the front. So
that was the hardest part. And it's hard for people to see now. I'm not used to the spotlight. I'm not trying to sound humble. It's just the fact that I grew up in a very simple, my father sits in the back of the shul. Right. I still sit in the back of the shul. I don't want any of this.
Yeah, no, I heard that.
But at some point, you have to do it. And more importantly, you realize what you can do with it. And I think that's more the way I see it. That's the impact, the responsibility that you take on by, you were doing Thank You Hashem. I'm sure that something you think about a lot. It's like, okay, you get lost in making music, but then you think back for a second, okay, why I'm doing this, and it makes everything just different.
For sure. With the background that you have listening to Yiddish music, and then eventually being exposed to more modern Hasidic music, and now you've performed with Hanan Ben Ari, people like that. So I feel like at this stage, you've seen the whole spectrum. But if I were to ask you what Jewish music is, what would you say?
Question.
Jewish music is a message more than anything. I think it's not a melody, it's not a chord, it's not a style, it's not a drum, it's not the way I see it, at least. I think there are plenty of opinions on this.
Sure.
The way it could be a product of the influence and everything that I've been through myself. But the way I see Jewish music, it's about the message it conveys. Now, you can take the most edgy kind of beats, the most out there kind of sound and everything, and put the right message on it, and it becomes Jewish music. Although I do understand that the field that it presents is not necessarily something that everyone agrees with. So I think that's where
What do you mean by that?
We are creatures of habit. We're familiar sounds, the same way we naturally, when you sit down on a piano, the first chord you play is your most familiar chord, the one you like the most. That's who we are. And people, especially communities, the way communities are built, it's about keeping things in, and not letting so much of it in, not letting so much of the outside in, no matter which community. I don't care if you're in Satmar and Monroe, or if you're part of a community in YU or whatever.
Sure.
Communities are built in a certain way where it keeps certain people together and it keeps certain people out. That's just the way it is, and it's a good thing. It comes with its benefits. It comes with that's the way I see it. And again, don't take my opinion as I'm
just taking it as your opinion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the way I see it is that every time something really out there, something on the edge happens, the familiar part falls away, and that's an adjustment. And adjustments, most people are afraid of change. Most people are not comfortable with change. That's more the way I see it. I don't see it as, oh my God, you took I'm not going to name any non-Jewish artists, but you took this artist beat or type of idea and you made it into Jewish music. If it matches the message, and more importantly, this is the important part, if the message gets across, if people really connect to it for the right reasons, not for the wrong reasons, then who can say that that's not Jewish music? That's the way I feel about it. I'm not trying to push it, but I definitely am on the edge when it comes to producing music.
Right. In terms of like expanding the sound, like what's accepted as,
You have to. First of all, as an artist, if you take that away, then there's no artist left. The younger kids, next generation, or whatever they're going for it. Whether you're going to do it or somebody else is going to do it, and whether Jewish music is going to provide it or not, it's still there, and they're gonna. I don't think we're still in the belief that not giving it to them is gonna keep them back from hearing it.
Right.
So that's a little bit of my belief. I try to be very sensitive to who the artist is, and I think that's the part that I'm more aware of than anything else. Who's the clientele you're serving? Don't offend anybody. I remember when we did Aguda Achas album with Barry, which was really the Sonic Duo official first production.
Sure.
Reborn was a big hit. We had like really nice songs on that album. But when it came to Aguda Achas, which was a beautiful song, I loved the song from the first minute I heard it. And we came up with this rap idea in the middle of the song. And I asked Barry, I don't know, whatever, I hope I'm not offending anybody here, but I asked Barry, you sure you want to do it? And he was in the mood then, to push it. It takes that awareness of asking it and saying, you know what, I understand we're artists here. We're sitting here in the room in the studio. Nobody's hearing us now. But your name is attached to it, your brand and everything else, and who's your clientele and understanding. And I don't think it did that much damage for him. I think at that point he got a little scared when it was released. He felt like he got a little bit of pushback. I don't think it hurted him. I hope it didn't, because I honestly would have done everything different. But it was a decision that was made.
Right. So it's an awareness and
who is your clientele and who you're serving, and I want to be in all different styles of music. I want to if it's for a community that we can push even more, let's push it.
Sure.
But it's definitely with sensitivity.
Okay, so you've got the wedding band, you've got production, you're doing multiple events. You got 9 kids.
8.
8, sorry, you've got 8 kids.
Probably 9 by now.
How on earth do you juggle all of that and maintain such a calm persona?
It's a great question. I don't think I think about it that much, but I hear it back from people like before walking on stage, like, you have a show to do now. How are you? Like, just chilling. I'll go back a little bit. First of all, as far as juggling family and business, it's a very hard thing. I don't think I can sit here and say that I figured it out.
Okay.
I told you some things that I do.
Sure.
Like, here's the thing. Like, I feel like when it comes to life, and especially when you get married, it's an everlasting learning process. There's no end to it. There's no figuring it out necessarily. There's a everlasting journey. And I think when you go with that mindset, then you never stress about yourself to trying to be perfect. You just stress about yourself being, no, lack of a better word, like you basically push yourself to be the best of what you can be and what you can do.
I still find that it's a push and pull a lot of times, especially when the season gets heavy. It's easy when it's Sphera and you're not playing that much, and then studio takes over more. But whatever it is, it's really you being on top of the ball that I have to constantly be aware. It's an awareness that needs to happen, and I do my best. I can't say I perfected it. Phone still interrupts too much. Focus is still, you have to catch yourself. I have to catch myself every now and then, and just adjust as needed. So that's as far as family balance and work. One thing I take very easy life is I don't believe in chasing after so much. I believe whatever needs to be here is going to come here anyway. I just need to do my part, and I'll do it the best way I can. The effort I'll put in 110%. The outcome I'm not worried about. Sure. I can't. Otherwise, I'm stressed beyond. I can't. I really can't. Same goes for live gigs. So the stress that I have on live gigs, most people don't see. It's because it happens 2 weeks, 2 months before. So we do a Hask show. Catch me 2 weeks before. You'll see where the stress is. Because I believe in preempting things. I believe in writing everything perfect. I believe in making everything ready that by the time we get on stage, there's no more questions.
You just be in the moment.
That's it. It's like a singer gets in the studio and I tell him, all the technique practice that you've done, leave that at home. Now just think about the lyrics and give me a message. Let me hear something.
Sure.
So it's the same idea. So yeah. And there's another element to it also. I find that I did study a lot of I don't know if it's called self-help or whatever it is. Like, I do read a lot, and sure. I studied very much leadership and structure and a lot of these things. Wow. It's very important to me. What I found is that if I'm calm on this bandstand or before the show, the rest of the musicians are at ease.
Right.
And it brings their ability up to perform by 100%. Wow. I'm talking literally 100%. The second I get nervous, their ability as a musician drops 50%.
Wow.
Yep.
And that to me it's like half my gig. Why not?
Sure.
So yeah, I'll rather act calm whether I am or not,
right?
And have everyone feel. But it's really having that belief that we've done everything we need to do. We put in the work. Now let's have fun. Like for most musicians on stage.
If you're not, this is what I said also about Hask concerts. What was great about the original Hask concerts was that you could tell that people were having fun. There was a aura in the room where everyone was jumping and just enjoying every moment. And now it feels like it's just another gig. So let's just do what we have to do, not taking risk or trying to do something different. Like, for example, having the overture with the theme of Hask and playing around with it and making it go big. Like, all of these things just like I don't get why like these common sense things just don't go through the most important things of music and the most nostalgic and legendary things of music.
You'll hear me talk before a show. Like when I go up and the moment we have to start, it's like, let's mess it up the best way we can.
Right.
And it's really having that mentality, that
I love that.
attitude, and we're having a great time, and that's what the audience feels. If you're uptight and everything has to be
They know
perfect,
it,
and
they
you
feel
work,
it. Yeah.
the audience sees right away.
Okay, last question before you fly. What's coming up? Well, you know what? I'm gonna put two questions together so I can say it was only one question, but really it was two. I like asking all my guests this. Number one, to a Mendy Hershkowitz somewhere in Monroe or Williamsburg today, who maybe now looks up to someone like you as a role model, which is something you never had as a kid. What advice would you give them?
So I can tell you what I do give, because I get that question a lot. Like I have people who would come over to me and like, I want to be the next Mendy or whatever. Like I hate it. I mean, trust me, I'm not even where I want to be yet.
I also hate the thing like people say, "Oh, you want to be the next album free?" Like I just want to be myself. I'm not trying to become someone or something. I'm just trying to become a better version of what I can do, whether music or in videos or whatever it is. Like I just want to be myself, just in a bigger scale.
I consider myself a beginner in music and still learning everything. But I always tell everyone, you can be a lot better than me. Be the best version of yourself. Mendy, there is already a Mendy.
Two already.
Yeah, two already. And thank God, everyone different. And I can't do what you do.
Right. And I can't do what you do.
It's not about, I mean, if I really want to emulate what you do, I'll find a way to do it. But what's the point, really?
Right.
I mean, you do it better than me any day of the week. So it's really that, giving them their belief in themselves more than how I got where I got.
Yeah. Okay.
Because that's really what it is. Don't be someone else. Try to get as much influence as you can, because really that's what shapes you as an artist.
And what is coming? What's in store in the future for Mendy Hershkowitz?
As I said, I feel like I'm really in the beginning. I honestly believe there's so much that Juice Music.
That's the way to do about it. It doesn't matter how long you're doing it. Always look back and think, I just scratched the surface. I just did a beginning. The moment you feel like you're at a peak, you're done. It's like Avram Fried said, like people say, like, you never have stage fright. Said he has every time. And they ask, so how do you do concerts? He says, the moment I don't have stage fright, I don't have anxiety, that means I'm finished my shows.
You can still be what, do. And whether it's the live scene, there's so much happening now in the live scene, the shift between the live music and EDM, implementing EDM. Every band is trying right now to implement EDM in the second dance. Some of them are figuring it out, some of them not. And even those who figured it out, it's like, okay, it's working for a drop, but it doesn't work. Like it's like, and I'm in the same boat. We're all doing the same thing, trying to give the client what they want. But it's inevitably shifting in that way. As far as shows, I believe there's also so much still to be done. So we're pushing the limits on shows. Now technology is becoming a big part of shows. AI is coming in. Like there's so much of what's going on here. And in the studio, it's endless.
When did this episode come out? This episode came out 2 years ago. Oh, okay, fine. So I was thinking like longer than that, but yeah, 2 years ago. That makes sense. Okay, so yeah.
I mean, the studio, you have talent coming up now. I don't know, you're dealing obviously with a lot of talent in the studio, but kids, 15, 16, 18-year-olds now becoming producers, writing their own songs. It's insane. And for me, it's exciting. It's finally, wow, Juice Music has it. We can actually.
I feel like we're about to have a big explosion of creativity. I mean, we're having it.
But, exactly. It's happening now. There's no. I'm willing to go on the record to say that 5 years from now, Juice Music is not going to sound anything close to what it sounds now.
Huh.
I think there's so much. Again, it might.
Yeah, this was 2 years ago. And now we have Yum Yum. It's just like, why?
There might be the older people still listening to different things and the younger this, but I watch my kids. I see what they respond to, and
it's changing.
It's in a good way.
Yeah,
I think there's room for talent, and it's the best thing. It's art. People always get confused between what art is supposed to, the message that it's supposed to give over, and the art itself pushing the limits. So the young
Okay.
generation always the one that pushes the limits.
Right.
And then comes the older generation and says, okay, there's a message to be here.
Right. Don't forget the
So-
message. Take it with you.
Exactly. Because as kids, we do, you know this, we all go through this. We never think about the impact first.
Right.
As you grow older, you're like, okay, what am I really trying to convey here?
Yeah.
And who's my audience? They don't think like that. They're like, okay, I have a sound in my head. I have something I feel like I need to express. Let's do it. Let's make a bang. And it's that really balance that makes everything happen so well. So
All right. Thank you for taking the time.
my absolute
That was
pleasure.
fun. I feel like
All right, that was great. Yeah, that was amazing. Any more comments? All right, guys, that was great. We'll maybe just have another stream this week. I'm gonna try to see what we're gonna do the topic of. There's a different ideas, different things formatting, but also there's Lag Baimer and stuff. So stay tuned for all of that. We're probably not gonna have a live stream on Tuesday like Baimer, but we're gonna definitely have something again this week. So stay tuned for all that. Thank you guys for joining. It was great. Keep commenting and subscribing and sharing and comment your ideas of what I should do and what all I should do for reacting and live streams and topics and all of that. So keep all the ideas coming in. All right, guys, that is it for today. Have a good day. Live, Uziel's live for you to join along. Live, Uziel's live for you to join along.